Today we are going to take a tour through the beautiful country of England, located in the United Kingdom. The name England comes from an Old English name which meant the land of angels. I'm interested in England for many different reasons. First of all, it's a huge part of my background. I'm almost 60% English. Second of all, I've been and visited England before and it takes my breath away with some of the beauty of the land. Let me take you through my trip, which will help you better understand the culture and architecture of the country. Who knew England was so different from the United States? When I was 13 and went to visit the place, I couldn't believe how beautiful some of the buildings are. Some buildings have that antique 1700s style with stained glass windows and vintage door frames. But London is my favorite. When you get to downtown London, it gives you sort of a New York City feel with a mix of vintage. One of my favorite places to visit was the Buckingham Palace. This is where the King and Queen of England live. I was able to stand and watch the soldiers march outside the palace. Their traditions be much different than ours. Here's some quick background information. In the United States, we have a democracy government, which means majority rules are tempered by minority rights. We as Americans are given the freedom to elect our government. We can go to a ballot and say, yes, we want this person to be our president. The way we decide this is debates. They will go on television and go to conferences and convince our country to elect them by telling us what we want to hear. We are lucky citizens. In England, they have a Prime Minister and a Her Majesty. The House of Commons holds the majority of the vote over the Prime Minister's election. They usually are a leader in the House of Commons, but that is not always the case. Another fascinating thing, more often seen in London than all over England, is the architecture of buildings and homes. Apartments are skinnier and taller instead of wider and shorter. That means that like a home you usually see that has 4 or 5 rooms on one floor, a common loft in London has 1 room per floor, which means the lofts can be up to 7 and 8 stories high. England is filled with ancient worship chapels that have detailed artwork such as stained glass windows. They have 200 and 300-year-old school buildings in detailed framings and window panels and beautifully crafted decorations. England truly is filled with so much architectural man-made beauty that we don't get to see as often in the States, mostly because it is so vintage and unique.